Oh, look at this goodie bag I got from my work party. Candy canes? You kidding me? Those are my favorite.
Hey, what are you doing, man?
Just poisoning the air, sitting in my car, not doing anything. Mind your own business, man. The man seen in these videos seems to be very lazy or just doesn't care about the environment. Polluting the air, not taking the time to separate trash and recyclables, littering? Come on, man. While these are blatant cases of negative environmental behavior, we should remember that there is plenty of proactive work happening to keep our world safe and healthy. Looking deeper at the reasons why people act in environmentally sustainable ways, research explains that one's personality has an effect on the way we behave. In a study by Brick and Lewis in 2014, it was found that personality traits and behavior are linked together. People who had traits of aesthetic appreciation and openness were likely to exhibit pro-environmental behaviors. Another study by Blaze and colleagues in 2017 compared internal locus of control versus an external locus of control mindset. Somebody who has an internal control mindset attributes success and failures to itself, while an external mindset will blame successes and failures on the external environment. In this study, people with an internal locus of control mindset were more engaged in the environment, relating to more positive behaviors. Conscious effort is required to make a change for the world. While recycling a bottle may be easy, riding your bike to work every day isn't. Cook and colleagues in 2016 ran a study that showed people with higher levels of motivation participated more in both easy and hard pro-environmental behaviors. Even eating comes into play, as people who are more conscious and knowledgeable of environmental issues tend to buy more organic meats. All of these studies that I just explained were measured through personality tests and surveys, where personality and behavior were compared. And that is just what we'll be doing in our study. We'll be looking at environmental impacts of individuals based on their behaviors and underlying psychological traits. I'm now going to hand it over to Carson, Abby, and Haley. Thank you.
Three constructs to measure environmental friendliness: personality, behavior, and attitudes. We measured personality with questions based on traits such as empathy, narcissism, motivation, and self-efficacy. We used a Likert scale to measure responses based on statements such as, I tend to have very strong opinions about sustainability, and I can always manage to solve difficult problems if I try hard enough. We measured behaviors with questions based on performances in everyday life. We used sliders with never on one end and always on the other. Participants were to place the slider where they felt most necessary, based on questions such as, do you consume red meats, and do you turn off the lights when you leave a room? Attitudes: we use questions based on perspectives and opinions of participants towards the world around them. We used a Likert scale where 1 was not at all environmentally friendly and 5 was very environmentally friendly. Responses on these questions all meant that higher scores were more environmentally friendly and lower scores were less environmentally friendly. We had a reverse score these questions. So, do you consume red meats? Do you use reusable bags? How often do you shower in a week? Do you shop processed foods? How often do you fly in a year? How often do you smoke? Others' cultures should try to be like my culture, and I trust those that are similar to me more than I trust those that are different.
If this were to be done in a larger group setting, it would still be a self-administered survey under the direction of a proctor, whoever's giving it out. And they would still complete the assessment on the device of their choosing, anything mobile, and then making sure it's done independently and that their answers are truthful. And if it is in a group setting, they would just have to wait until everyone else is done. Participants who took part in our survey were asked to use any mobile or electronic device that could access the survey. They were asked to thoroughly read each questionnaire statement and then respond honestly and as truthfully as possible. And then depending on which scale, they were asked to choose the option that best fits to their behaviors or their lifestyle. An example of a question is, I easily feel sad when others around me feel sad, and that was on a scale of 1, strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree. So the middle was neutral, and they could decide which best fits to them. Another example of a question was our slider scales, which an example is, do you drink bottled water? So that was on a scale from always to never, and they could slide wherever they felt most was fitting to them.
To begin, to tell you how we showed our reliability in the process of that, we started by cleaning our data file. So we got everything from Qualtrics into SPSS, and then we reviewed the different characteristics. So at first we took out the unnecessary information provided by SPSS, like participant first name and last name, the IP address, the location latitude, and things like that we also showed in class. Then we deleted 83 participants that completed less than 95% of the survey because we wanted completion. And then lastly, we deleted any participants that completed the survey in over 900 seconds. Next, we calculated Cronbach Alpha's 1 overall score because we believed that our survey was measuring environmentally friendliness. We then realized that 1 score wasn't going to work and we had to break it down into different constructs. So then we tried creating a Cronbach Alpha for personality and attitudes combined, and then behaviors. And then we realized that we need to break up personalities and psychological constructs as well. For our behavior construct, we also had a couple struggles with the Cronbach Alpha. We later realized, after getting a negative 0.02 Cronbach Alpha, that our survey had a couple of mistakes in it. We looked back at the scales for the sliding questions, and the scale ranged from the value of 0 to 0. So we had to delete all of those questions, and we were left with only 4 behavioral questions afterwards, making it very difficult to create a Cronbach Alpha for that. So in the end, we ended up finding a correlation between the attitude construct and the personality construct, and that was a 0.14 correlation. For how we showed validity, to start off, we did look through the survey and there was face validity. It did seem like we were trying to measure environmentally friendliness with a couple other things intertwined. And then, as we discussed in class, we did see that it was unconventional for measuring validity in other forms like criterion or construct. For validity, our assessment could be used as a predictor for criterion validity for future applications, but it was unable to work as validity for our own just because of the issues we had with finding the Cronbach Alpha and the behavioral assessment questions.
We originally intended to look for the relationship between environmental behaviors and psychological traits. Unfortunately, due to our slider scale error, having slider scales of both a minimum and maximum of 0, we were only able to take 4 out of our 15 behavior questions from it. The 4 that we were able to take had open-ended questions where they put in their own information. So we did find a negative correlation with behavior. Fortunately, we found a correlation between personality and attitudes towards environmentally friendliness when we ran those tests. We found that our participants who were more empathetic, more aware, and less narcissistic had the higher scores for our results, and vice versa, those who had lower scores tended to be the opposite of these. And this is applicable to individuals, college campuses, or anyone else concerned about our environment. Although you can't change other people's personalities or their empathy or narcissism, you can make yourself more aware of your impacts on the environment. For future research on this topic, there's a few things we would have changed. One of those being having more specific questions and then being more specific on what types of answers we're looking for. One of the questions that we ran into issues with was our question about how often do you smoke. People had questions pertaining to what and clarifying what they were smoking, whether it was vape, marijuana, or cigarettes. So just being more specific in that and maybe doing some better pilot testing and ensuring that our survey was working correctly. But although we would change a few things about our survey and our project, we did find that correlation between personality and attitude towards environmentally friendliness.